Exactly. Yeah. I think I heard you do one of your podcasts. I heard that you interviewed, was it Kyle J or
Mm-hmm.
something like that? And that's when I first heard that he was doing a documentary and stuff like that. And I had reached out to him, and he actually interviewed me about the Hatman last Friday
Very cool.
and stuff. And we've been in contact ever since and stuff like that. And I showed him because I showed him, sent him some photos of some, scratches that I've been scratched, not necessarily from the Hatman, but, I've been scratched. In fact, I was talking to him, messaging him last night. He was asking me for updates, how I'm doing and stuff like that. And he had asked, because I mentioned that I had some photos, and then my girlfriend had actually got some video of me, I guess, communicating with him or talking to him. I'm not aware of this. I have epilepsy, and I have blackouts, and sometimes during these blackouts I will, I guess, communicate with the Hatman or something. I don't know what it is. And so I had sent him a couple pictures of the scratches on my back, because I was just happened to be watching TV one night. And I told him the first pictures I sent him, my back was all scratched up. It was, and it was just burning, just on fire. And so, I lifted up my shirt. My girlfriend looked, and she's like, "What in the heck?" And she took a picture, and my back was all scratched to heck. And then over the weekend, I was scratched on my neck, just randomly sitting there watching TV.
Now, are you okay with me leaving that in about your epileptic seizures and then your blackouts and then subsequently?
No, absolutely.
So what were you saying during this video, during the blackout?
So during the video, I'm still trying to find it, but during the video I would say, "Hey, look, there he is," or I think in one of them I told her, "Hey, look, there he is, take a picture." And I actually had her take a picture, and because she's like, "You were coherent, you seemed like you were perfectly aware of everything." So I took a picture. She thought it was kind of strange. Took a picture, nothing was in the picture. And there's other times where it's not me talking, where I guess something has talked through me saying he is mine, and during those type of blackouts, I guess she says, like, the features of my face, she says, become menacing. My eyes become dark. They're different. I've actually had one of my friends, a real close friend and stuff like that. She has mentioned the same thing, that she's like, there are certain times where you just get this look on your face. It's not you. And there's been times that during these blackouts that I guess whatever entity it is has told me to come with it. And my girlfriend has had to physically restrain me from leaving the house. And this is like, snowing and all this kind of stuff. And I'm in my pajamas, barefoot, trying to leave the house. So.
Now, we'll go back to where this all started for you, but as far as maybe this other entity or thing that's affecting you during these blackouts, or just showing itself during the blackouts, where do you think that came from, or how long do you think that's been a part of your life?
Now, my first experience with seeing the Hatman, or whatever you want to call him, that entity, was when I was about 7 years old. It was I was laying in bed, and bedroom door was cracked, and just I saw a shadow, tall figure with a top hat, walk right past it, and kind of covered my head under the blanket type thing and stuff. And then I've seen him as recently as a week ago, and that was the photo. That was the photo of that I told him to take that I told my girlfriend to take a picture, and nothing was in it. But it seems that I have had more experiences with him, and when things picked up, as far as I would say, with that particular entity was, I can't remember the year. It's been a while, but it first started. My uncle, he was having paranormal activity in his house, and he was actually open to some people coming to investigate it and investigate. I think at the time it was actually Paranormal State, the TV show, who was going to come out to his house and investigate. And he canceled on him at the last minute because he was afraid. He didn't want to be. He ended up not wanting to be on TV. He was. Mm-hmm. He didn't. He was afraid that it was going to stir stuff up further. And at that time, right around that same time, I started getting visited in my dreams. There was one incident. I was married at the time, and I was coming upstairs. My wife at the time was already in bed. Open up the door, and kind of, it's pitch black in the room. Kind of open up the bedroom door to come in, and on the left-hand side is the master bathroom, and on the right-hand side is we have like a giant mirror just to the side of the bed, and that tall figure again, the tall shadow figure, walked from the bathroom, kind of paused halfway between the mirror and the bathroom, and nothing was verbally said. It was all kind of communication, I guess telepathically or however you want to say it. And I said, "You better not touch her." And he's like, "I will do what I want. You can't stop me." And kind of just walked straight into the mirror and gone. It was after that. And at that point, I started having dreams of basically the whatever was at my uncle's house. I don't know if it was the entity at my uncle's house. What it was, I never set foot in my uncle's house, so I don't know how it got in contact with me. But basically, it told me in my dreams that, pardon my language, I'm going to say the F word here. He's like, he's fucking mine. You leave him alone. And then he's like, "I will kill you and your whole family." And I've had follow-up dreams from there to where he has showed me, I have two sons. He has showed me basically later on down the road that they become, how he's going to kill them. He's going to get them addicted to drugs, or he's going to, just absolute violent death for my kids. And it is horrifying.
So that the first experience when you were 7, I remember from your email, you said that there was nothing malevolent about that, and you weren't actually even scared, right? It was just something strange and different you saw, but you weren't scared.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Now, the one that was near your wife, was that the exact same figure with the hat? And do you ever see its face?
I never see its face. I have never seen it. It's blacker than black. All it is the best way I to describe it is like Abe Lincoln, that type of top hat, and it's tall, skinny. I would put him at about 7 foot. And I had shared a story with Kyle there where it was a couple months ago that I was walking. I was taking our dog for a walk at night. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and I'm just down the road from some model homes, that kind of stuff. And in our particular neighborhood, it's all split rail fencing. And I'm on one side of the street, and in the backyard, so you could kind of see into everybody's backyard. And so I'm walking down the street, and in the backyard, there that same figure is. His legs propped up on the fence, and it just kind of gives a tilt to the hat to me. And my dog didn't have no reaction, didn't see him whatsoever, which I thought was kind of odd. If it was a person, that he would have barked or something like that. But it's one of those kind of things that just kind of like, I'm still here, Yeah,
it's an interesting thought about the mirrors as well, because you hear about mirrors holding energy, and when people will use a psychomantium, they do that because it's just them sitting in a room and with the mirror, and it's supposedly creating a portal or a doorway So I don't know what you think about that whole thing with, especially since there wasn't a mirror involved every single time, right? It was just that one time when it was in the room with your wife.
Yep.
I mean, I guess not that it couldn't come out of another mirror when you were 7, but sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say I agree that they as far as shadow people, spirits, or what have you. I think it's probably mirrors is probably a good way to transport because they hold energy. I do believe that they do hold energy, whether it's negative, positive, and that kind of stuff. And it's probably a means of transportation for them, or it can be if it's a strong enough entity.
And how about the experience when you were 10? Would you mind touching on that at your grandmother's house?
Yeah, kind of a summer afternoon, just sitting there watching TV, and so kind of the front room. If you kind of picture a front room, TV's against the wall, and she has a big bay window right there. Some steps come onto it's like a covered patio coming into the front door, and all of a sudden I see that it's the same figure coming up the stairs and walks straight towards the front door. And me being a kid, I'm like, hey, who is that? So I run over there to see him, and God, nothing's there. It came straight up the stairs, right through the front door, type thing. And I was kind of taken back, and I happened to be by myself at the time. Nobody was there with me in the living room. And so I told my grandma and grandfather about it, and they just thought it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, and let's also talk about what seems to happen quite soon after each time you see this entity.
Yeah, after the first experience, nothing malevolent, like I said, ever happened. After that experience, about a little over a week later, lost one of my uncles, a relative, and and subsequently after that, it seems after I've seen him a few other times, and shortly thereafter, we've had a death in the family, like a week before my grandfather's passing. I had seen him. I actually had seen him. I'd seen him at my mom's funeral.
You saw him at the actual funeral.
I seen him at the actual funeral.
And what was he doing?
It was just standing there, kind of watching me, and I, paid him no mind because I figured that's what he wanted, or what it wanted. I don't know if it gets some sort of energy or what have you from, scaring people or what have you. I don't know. But over, the last couple times that I've seen him, knock on wood, nobody in the family has passed or friends or anything like that. Nothing bad has happened.
So no one else saw him though at the funeral, but you?
No, nobody else has seen him.
And even your girlfriend, you saw him about a week ago, you said, and you saw him, but she couldn't, but then you just said, hey, will you take a picture over there? And nothing comes out in the picture, though.
Nope, I have no recollection of even asking her of doing these things.
Oh.
Of even taking the picture. So I have, but yeah, I have seen him and taken pictures myself. Nothing's there. She, and I have asked her, I guess, on numerous occasions to take pictures, and nothing.
That's interesting. So some of the times you see him, it's during one of these blackouts, and then other times you're perfectly coherent and you remember the whole thing. Yeah.
And one of the things that happens with so I have, I guess, a couple different type of seizures, if you will. I get the petites, which I describe what I like to explain as a deja vu. It's a real vivid deja vu, and those started in 2002. I remember it. I was driving to the Olympics hockey game. It was Sweden versus Canada, and that's when I had my first one, and I was my first deja vu episode, as I call them. And I was like, what the heck is that? It's a real strong smell of ammonia. And you get kind of nauseous. And the thing that freaked me out about him was, and it still happens to this day, is when I get him, I see a little elf. I know it sounds crazy, and I was afraid to tell the doctor this, but I see a little elf in the lower left-hand side of my vision, and it kind of giggles, and it laughs, and it asks if I'm ready to die. So I don't know if that has anything to do with anything that's negative attached to me. I don't know if it's just normal.
What did the doctor say?
The doctor, he's like it's with that type of seizure. That's how I know it's a seizure, is because it's in the same spot every single time that you're seeing something. So I guess it's normal for visions or seeing something when you have an episode and stuff like that. And then I also have the blackouts, which I do, I guess, strange stuff, or I just lay on the floor, type thing. And then I also have grand mals.
Wow, you got a lot going on there, Jesse.
I do, and I don't know if so I have some friends, even my girlfriend. She thinks that there is something negative attached to me, and it is affecting my health. My health has declined over the past few, over the few, several years and that kind of stuff. And it's gotten really bad over the last year.
I'm sorry to hear that. Now, you say the petites, they started in 2002, and I know that your first experience with the Hatman was when you were 7. Is there any chance, or does the doctor say anything about these kind of thing? They can affect you basically your whole life, but maybe you won't actually have any seizures or blackouts until later in life. Is there any chance that you're seeing this Hatman because it's always been there, just in your brain somehow, attached to the epilepsy?
He's never really said anything about that. Now, the one thing I did find out in trying to do my own investigating into, why did I start randomly getting seizures and stuff like that. I lost my mom when I was about 17 years old. And so, I've relied on my grandma and my aunt to kind of give me history on my health and stuff like that. And when I was younger, I got real sick with spinal meningitis. I was actually born with spinal meningitis. They did a flight for life for me from Pueblo to Denver, which is about 150 miles away. And according to my grandma, I don't know, my dad hasn't verified one way or another, because I had actually passed away, and the doctors had went to my parents and told them that I should, that they recommend and kind of unplug me from life support, because if I survive, I'm going to be a vegetable.
Oh, wow.
And my mom's like, no, hell no, that's my baby, that kind of stuff. And so, but I was told that I had passed away, and my grandma had mentioned that I got seizures then, when I was sick. They went away, and the doctors, I guess, said that there's a probability of them coming back later on in life.
So you actually did die, though, at some point?
According to my grandmother, yes. I don't know. I'd like to verify that, and I don't know if that has any connection with the Hatman or seeing other entities or anything else.
That's, wow. Yeah, that's interesting. You do hear that sometimes. People that have, near-death experiences, or they actually pass away and come back, they seem to come back with extra abilities, if you want to call it that, seeing different things.
Yeah, and when you, now that you mention extra abilities, my mom, she used to swear that, I used to make fun of her because she said that she had ESPN. That's what she used to call it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I used to make fun of her. I used to make fun of her all the time. And it was kind of crazy when she had passed away. There for about a week after she had passed away, I would be driving down the street and I could feel everybody's energy. I could hear everybody's thoughts. I mean, it was just overwhelming. And I had shut it off, and I wish I didn't, because, you know, it would have been a great gift to have.
Right.
But yeah, it was extremely overwhelming. But yeah, that was one of the good memories, making fun of my mom with her ESPN.
That's very cool. Yeah, the ESPN thing. So, did she ever see anything like this, or mention, or a hint of anything strange that your mom has actually seen before she passed?
She used to say that, you know, she used to talk, be able to communicate with dead people. Mm. But I always thought she was joking, that kind of stuff. My mom was a prankster. She was a lot of fun. So I never believed her much.
Did she suffer from epilepsy or any kind of seizures?
She did not. No, she died of cancer when she was about 42 years old.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So young. I'm just trying to, you know, figure out why it just seems to settle on you. And also, I have the Hatman sitting on the fence. It reminds me very much of when Jeremy of the Deviatus podcast was on. And he admitted that he was sleep deprived at the time. But he swore that he saw this, basically a, you know, very, very tall black figure sitting, actually I think it was like on top of a roof. I'm going to get that wrong probably. Sorry, Jeremy. I don't even remember what episode that was, but he had seen it. It was several times over a period of 2 weeks, and then he never saw this thing again. So it just reminded me very much of that, what you said about, it's just so random, right? Like seeing it just outside. Yeah. You're just taking the dog for a walk. It's not like you're laying in bed and it's dark and creepy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I mean, I know people, you know, that have experience with shadow people or the Hatman. It's right around bedtime that they see him. You know, other people see him, you know, kind of like me, kind of just random, you know, middle of the day type thing or at night type thing. So it's just so random. And one, I want to know what it is. Two, why are you communicating with me, and why are you threatening my family or threatening me? You know, what did I do to you?
Well, and also, Jesse, in your email you mentioned, and I'm very sure I've heard this before, so it doesn't make you crazy for saying this, but you have maybe come up with the conclusion that it is death itself, and that's what you're seeing.
And the reason I feel that way is because of the experiences of seeing him, and then a short time after, you know, losing a friend or a relative in the family type thing, and you know, but I guess why does he have to threaten me that way? I mean, I hope my time's not anytime soon.
Yeah, I suppose every time you see him, you're like, well, gosh, when is it for me? That would stress me out very greatly. I guess it would stress me out more about other people than myself, to be honest.
Absolutely. That's the way I am. Yeah. You know, don't mess with my family, my kids, or...
Right. So a couple months ago you saw him. That was when he was in the backyard. But everybody's fine after that, and everybody's fine after you seeing him a week ago.
Yeah, nobody has seen him. There's not been any other person that I've been with that has seen him. Like when kind of blurted out, oh, look, there he is type thing. Nobody has ever seen him. Nobody knows what the heck.
And how old are your kids now? And it's okay if you don't want to talk about them at all. I totally understand.
Oh, no. It's fine. So between me and my girlfriend, we have a total of 5. My oldest son is 17. And then my youngest is 9 years old.
And they're both boys?
And they're both boys. And then my girlfriend, she has a 10, a 9, and a 3-year-old.
And is everybody still in the house?
My 17-year-old lives with his mom, so you know I kind of see him off and on. My youngest son, have him half the time. and me and my girlfriend live together, so the other 3 are in the house all the time.
So what about the kids then? Are they noticing anything? Maybe they don't see full shadow figures, but is there any strange noises in the house or lights turning on or off, anything like that?
The 3-year-old, sees and talks to things constantly. So I don't know if he's gifted or what. I mean, there'll be times where, in fact, what was it? What the heck was it? It was a couple weeks ago. My girlfriend was driving him to the babysitter, and he tells, completely random, he's like, "Hey," he's like, Jesse got in a car accident." And she's like, "What?" And so she's kind of like, "No, he's okay, don't worry about it," type thing, and this kind of stuff. And it's kind of, and I told her it was kind of crazy. It just so happened that morning, I decided to sleep in a bit, wake up, made breakfast for the kids, and then I went to work. So I left about a half an hour later than I normally do. And just, had I been driving normal in that in the intersection that I go through, there was a car accident there. So he sees kids out in the backyard that aren't there, or people that are out in the backyard. As far as he says that he calls him, either that's brother. He's like, that's either brother, or it's Jesse, or but I don't know if that's because, if it's just a figure and he knows it's a boy or a girl or what have you. But he always calls him brother, or he'll call him, my son's names, or his sister's name too. So.
Wow. So he doesn't just have one imaginary friend, which a lot of kids do. He's actually seeing different things and interacting with them.
Yes. And then in our old house, he was afraid to sleep in his room, which is, kind of normal, kids. But he was very descriptive of seeing a man. He just said a man in the corner of his room, and it would walk into his closet, and he was horrified there, and he was afraid. I mean, screaming, kicking, and screaming and crying of afraid to go to bed, and so he slept with us a lot of times, and we have a baby monitor type camera, and set up in there, and never saw anything, and then. I happened to be, putting him in bed one night, and I think I have it on my Facebook page, my Paranormal's team's page, of where I got an EVP, and it sounds like a kid that says hello. But yeah, he used to say that he's seen. So every house that he's been at, he has had activity, or he has seen things.
And does he sleep in this house that you're in now? Is he okay to go to sleep in his own room now? Does he still see the man?
He doesn't see the man anymore. No. He'll see people like outside of the house, but never inside. But he'll see him outside the house, but he's not afraid to go. He's not afraid at all to go to bed or anything like that anymore.
That's a strange distinction. I mean, if he's making the whole thing up, which hey, kids can do, but why are they just outside and they're not inside?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're gonna make up imaginary friends, I mean, you think he'd also be seeing them in his room or playing with them, or that's interesting.
Yeah, I would think, and I think I thought it was very strange because in some of the things are just very detailed. I mean, you'll see people walking on a hill or something like that, or playing in the backyard, and nobody's there. And I mean, he could describe like what color shirt they're wearing and stuff like that.
Does he want to go out and play with them, or does it scare him?
Sometimes it scares him. Sometimes he wants to go out and play with them.
So what about the man in the corner of his room that would eventually go into the closet? Did he describe exactly what you've been seeing since you were a kid?
He just said he had a mean face. So he saw his face. He just said that he was mean and he wasn't nice. He was like, he's not nice. And that's about as descriptive as he got.
See, and if you're both sensitive, or you have other abilities to see things, and obviously, if we're just going from witness testimony, right? The little guy, what he saw something, maybe what we'd more call a ghost, because he saw his face, and he, it seems maybe a little bit more interactive. He's walking around and this and that. And yours, you never did see this thing's face out of all the times.
No.
But then again, you never saw what the little guy was seeing in the corner of his room, right? And vice versa. And he's never seen the shadow Hatman. It's right. See where I'm going? I don't know. My mind's going in 100 different directions, but it's just interesting that you guys are seeing completely like two different things. But are they different? Who knows?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, it's like that's one of the things is I'd ask myself is, okay, if I'm sensitive, why can't I see what he's seeing? Kind of all over the place like you.
Yeah.
Mine starts going a million miles an hour.
Yeah, that's what I do, and then I start rambling. Sorry. Yeah, it's just I just don't have any clue as to what's going on here, but I think the more and more I do this, I'm just like, it has to be connected. All of it has to be somehow. We just don't have the brain power to grasp that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm with you 100% there.
So now you have your group, All Things Paranormal, out there in Colorado, right? Now, do you guys go out? Are you doing very traditional ghost hunts, or what sort of work do you guys do, and what have you come across? And have you ever had one of these, and this is probably a whole separate question from the first part, but do you ever go into these blackouts while you're on, like doing an investigation, and something kind of comes through you at that time because you're in maybe a location that has a lot of activity?
I have, knock on wood, or I guess it would be interesting to actually get it on camera for myself. I have not gone into a blackout during any investigations and stuff like that. Now, work has been so crazy. My real job has been so crazy that we haven't really. I mean, we've only got a few investigations under our belt and stuff like that. And I was part of another paranormal team that kind of my ex-wife's mother and stepfather ran it, and for obvious reasons after the divorce.
Right.
I was no longer part of that team, so I had started my own team, and with a few other folks from work and that kind of stuff. And but it's traditional ghost hunt type stuff. I mean, I don't have super fancy equipment that I do have. Like IR boosters and stuff like that, I'll make myself, just because I have an electrical engineering degree and stuff like that. So, but I don't like to get too much into the technology type thing, just because I like to keep it simple sometimes with a voice recorder. I do have a spirit box, and I do have a spirit box and try to communicate with them that way. Kind of just snap photos. Other than that, it's just kind of walking around, personal experiences. I do typically have somebody recording when I'm asking questions and that kind of stuff, just in case something does happen on film, or I go into a blackout or anything like that.
I think I caught you saying something like, during your last blackout when you were speaking, or it seemed like someone else was speaking through you, did you say she recorded it but you can't find it? We are looking for it because she knows she's recorded it with her cell phone. She had recorded it, and she's like, it was my voice, perfectly normal, and it was me telling her, I guess, third person, or basically, he is mine. You can't do anything about it. That's what I had told her, or the voice through me told her. And she said that my face just got this like menacing look. My eyes are typically green, kind of like blue green, and she said that they got real dark, and
and just this angry look on my face.
That must have freaked her right out. How long did that last?
She said it lasted probably like about a minute. It wasn't anything real, anything real long. And she's the same thing with the blackouts and stuff like that. I mean, they'll go on for, as quick as 30 seconds and stuff like that, where just like night and day, my features change, or with the blackouts and stuff like that. I mean, sometimes she doesn't have time to get a camera or anything like that.
And what was the little, what did you call it? The little person that you mentioned is at the bottom of your vision. What did you call it?
I called him an elf.
Elf, right?
That is
okay.
that's the best way that I can describe him. Maybe what's more fitting is a gnome.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because he looks kind of dressed like a garden gnome. He has it's always a red outfit with a long hat type thing, which you would imagine. He has the beard, and he does his little giggle at the very beginning, and every time, and then that little, I guess, helium voice or whatever you want to call it, asks me, and that's the only thing he says. He just laughs and asks if I'm ready to die.
With your seizures, if it's some random artifact that your brain is spilling out, right, at whatever moment, it is interesting, though, if this little gnome or elf is wearing the exact same thing every time, and his beard is the same length and his voice sounds the same. That is quite interesting. That there's never a deviation there. You think there would be?
Yeah, I would think so. And I was very reluctant to tell my doctor that when I first said it, because to see that and for the first time and experience that, I was like, well, holy cow! If I told a couple friends and they just kind of laughed at me and said you're crazy type thing, and that's kind of the reaction that I thought I was gonna get from my doctor and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you think that little guy would change, or you'd just see something different every time. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's not impossible, but that's an interesting fact. If it's random, then it should be random every time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see. We talked about the kiddos. Now, what about your girlfriend? Having her in the house, and she's got this experience now with you, and also her 3-year-old. Is she having strange dreams, or is anything? Does she feel like things are changing in the house, or that she has anything attached to her?
She feels, when my mood switches or anything like that, just the negative energy, and how she's more concerned, that it's having an effect on my health, and when with her little guy seeing things and stuff like that, she's afraid that, okay, hopefully it's nothing negative, because she truly believes that something, her and a couple of friends of mine truly believe that something negative is attached to me. And, and she's afraid, obviously, that it affects, our kids. And, and she doesn't know if what's attached to me is kind of reaching out to him, since it kind of knows that he's a sensitive. And that's my main concern is going back to, you can mess with me all you want, don't mess with my family. And, but yeah, her concern is my health and the safety of her kids. But she just gets a strong negative feeling and, just this draining energy. She doesn't know how to describe it.
So have you guys tried, just announcing, hey, you're not welcome here. We don't like you messing with us, or the kids, you just need to go, or maybe saging the house or having it blessed or anything?
I haven't. I said, hey, you are not welcome here. Do not touch my family, that kind of stuff. Because this was a new build. And at our old house that we lived in together, it was a rental property. And I did not like that house whatsoever. It had some bad juju. Just I did not feel right in that house. And that's the house that the little guy saw, the scary guy. Mm-hmm. And we did sage the house. And in fact, I had a friend come over and cleanse me and sage me because I was afraid that something had followed me home from one of my investigations and stuff like that. And during that saging, both my friend and my girlfriend were sitting there, and as she was cleansing me, she said the look that came onto my face, and they said that my eyes turned black. I started to laugh, and shortly thereafter, I was kind of trying to physically push them out of the way. They had to restrain me from leaving the house. And I kept saying, "You can't stop me," just kind of laughing like it was having no effect, or it got pissed off that they were trying to cleanse me.
So how long did your eyes stay black?
They said it was probably about 30 seconds. It was about 30 seconds. But that angry, I guess I had an angry laugh. It was one of those things that I wish I would have recorded. I mean, I guess next time if I get cleansed, that kind of stuff, set up a camera to record, because I don't believe, have a hard time believing that, I mean, especially, my features changing, like my eyes turning black. I'd like to hear if my voice changes, stuff like that, but I don't know.
So that rental property was not new, but your house now is a new build, you said. It's a brand new house. You guys are the first family in there?
Yes.
And what about the land itself? You're there in Colorado, so are you guys in a rural area, or what? Do you know any of the history of the area?
I haven't done too much research on. So the community that we're located in, it's kind of eastern Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs is a fairly city. Keep growing and growing, and there is we're kind of in between Falcon, Colorado, and Colorado Springs, so it's kind of on the edge there. So I would just kind of classify it as plains. So like maybe I don't know if it's Native American land, but the community itself is called Banning Lewis Ranch, and they own quite a going all the way from northern Colorado Springs all the way down. I kind of classify, most people here would probably classify like Fountain, Falcon, kind of as Colorado Springs. It's so close that it's kind of just one big city.
Of course, it does just seem that it's centered around you, because you do seem very sensitive to things. So whatever was at the rental property was, just there, but you were able to kind of sense it. And I mean, now you guys still have stuff going on, and now the 3-year-old is talking to things. That would be very concerning to me as a mother, for sure. So I can understand your girlfriend's concern.
Yeah, every house that she has lived at, he has had some sort of experience.
Oh, really?
And kind of along myself as well, where every house that I've been at, I've had experiences. My main experiences have been with, I would say, the Hatman, and he seems to see everything. I don't know. I wish he was a little bit older so he can give me more detail type thing.
Right.
But he doesn't seem like he's super afraid of things. Now, certain times, obviously, like the scary guy, as he described at the other house, he doesn't seem to be afraid. It doesn't freak him out a whole lot, unless he senses that they're negative. So, which is good. But stuff can present itself as nice and then turn.
So he's never once maybe hinted at, there's a tall, dark figure with a hat, or, that person has a hat on. Even though you guys can't see it, he's never mentioned anything that you could even classify as a hat man?
No, not at all. I know we've asked him when he sees some, describe them, and he just kind of describes them. If it's a male, he describes them typically as me. He says, "Oh, look, there you are in the field." Or if it's a young boy, it's either his brother or my son. Or if it's a young girl, then it's his sister. Or if it's a female, then it's his mom. That's the way he describes them to us. So I don't know if he's actually seeing us, like a premonition type thing, or if it's actually entities he's seeing.
And you guys have a lot going on out there, I'll tell you. So is your story going to be featured in Kyle's documentary or any upcoming documentaries for him?
I believe so. We did a Skype interview. So I don't know if I made the cut or not. I would probably say yes, just because, we have been in contact since and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned about he was probably going to be doing a kind of doing reenactments of some of the people that he's interviewed and stuff for his documentary. So if I make the cut, great. I mean, my main reason for reaching out to him is to kind of share my experience with him, because, there for the longest time I thought I was crazy. And so obviously many people see him, and just kind of share my story to let everybody know, hey, you're not crazy. I see him. I know I'm somewhat crazy, but
we all are.
But yeah,
quite all right. Well, yes, Mr. Jesse Vega of All Things Paranormal. Make sure you let everybody know, either if you want to, of course, you don't have to give out your contact info, but at least let them know where to go for the Facebook group if they have anything that they want to share with you.
Absolutely, yeah, please do. If can I shoot you can I message you my Facebook page link?
Absolutely, yes, I would like that.
And all my contact information is there.
Okay.
And my email address, my All Things Paranormal group is ATP.
Oh, I'm losing you again. Is this it right here? I think I've got it right in front of me. ATP.crew.2016 @gmail.
That's it.
Awesome. I just happen to have part of the email printed out here. I'll make sure to put all the links in show notes. And if you have any pictures that you want to share, feel free to send those along as well, and I can put those in show notes. If not, it's no problem at all. I completely understand some of that can be quite personal.
I will share them. And please, I mean, if doing paranormal investigations and stuff like that with me, my scratches and stuff like that, scrutinize them. I didn't do it.
Sorry, it's breaking up something fierce right now. I don't know why it's acting up all of a sudden. It's been so good the whole time.
We have a storm moving in.
Oh, yeah, sometimes that's why cell phones are like, oh, you never know how it's going to go. But yeah, that must be it. The old electricals changing up there. Well, Jesse, keep me informed too as to what's going on there at home. And it doesn't always have to be for the show, but hopefully things stay calm for you guys, and especially the little guy doesn't get too scared out there seeing little friends or big friends out in the yard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will, if I capture anything EVP wise or photo wise or anything like that, or if I find the videos that I had brought up that I mentioned earlier, I'll send them your way and share them with you and stuff like that.
Well, thank you so much. And hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your encounters.
Well, thank you for your help, and thank you for letting me share my story there. Hopefully, kind of reach out to other people and kind of open up and not be afraid of things.
Yeah, I think it helps. Just every little bit, every story maybe that people get to hear, maybe we can start to chip away at stuff. I don't know if we can, but it's worth a